So as you might have guessed, today's talk is New Thought, Ancient Wisdom. And my first idea is, wow, what a great opportunity for a history lesson. No, we're not going to. So the idea of New Thought, there's some misconceptions sometimes about this. New Thought has been around for a really, really long time. It's not a new idea. What New Thought is talking about is we can change our experience, the experience we have of this life, with a new thought. And that has happened throughout history and has been identified throughout history as how things change. It starts with changing an old perception of some lack or limitation to one of receptivity to some good that we wish to experience in our lives. So it's all about changing our thinking. And it starts with us. And this idea that there is only one. Now we're teaching Beyond Limits, which is our foundational class. So we're always talking about one. It's only one. Despite the appearance, there is only one. If we gain enough perspective in our acceptance of life, we can recognize the truth of the unity of all that is. It has to be one. It's all happening right now, in this very moment, as an expression of a wholeness of life. And we're the part of it on planet Earth that is conscious of this, is able to recognize the truth of our own life as consciousness expressing. We are the hands of God right now. God doesn't have any other hands active and working on the planet right now other than the ones at the end of your arms. We are the consciousness of this life, individualized to make the choices of our lives and our experience of life, so that God is experiencing us as individuals. So we're all here by divine appointment, and we are all part of this one. And the question becomes, and I'll get to the ancient wisdom part of this eventually. The question becomes, are we actually praying like it? Are we recognizing the truth of our being in our activities, in our thoughts, in our words? Are we actually living this? Because if we're not, this is the good news and the bad news. If we're not living with the perception of our unity with life, we are experiencing the separation and the pain that goes with being separate from the source of your being. This idea that we're separate from the source of our being. And that allows for all sorts of terrible things to happen in the world. It's what's going on right now. There's a separate idea out there that is dropping, that it's okay to drop bombs on somebody to stop an idea. I'm going to say no, it's not. And you might say that's utopian thinking. And you're damn right it is.
Amen.
It's utopian thinking. We can live in peace. We can live in love. We can have a world in which war is unnecessary, poverty is unknown, disease is cured, and life can proceed with joy and creativity and ever greater abundance in how we experience this life. That's what it means to be one. When we stop separating ourselves from the idea that that person over there, that bum that we see on the street, is different from me in any way, shape, or form, other than I have an idea that they don't deserve what I receive. So you can't be anywhere but in us. So, way back, Judaism says, and that was founded about 2,000 plus years ago, or 4,000 plus years ago in 2000 BC. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Now, I'm going to say that they probably didn't say that. Because it was probably in ancient Hebrew and they don't talk that way. But think of this. 4,000 years ago, it was recognized that we were one, and that for life to unfold as peace and love and abundance and prosperity and joy, we had to treat the people around us as if they were ourself. For in truth, they are ourself. There isn't a separation between me and thee. Only in our mind's eye do we separate so that we can feel lack and limitation and fear of that which is not me. And we have so much convincing us that that's the truth. I mean, our five senses convince us that that's the truth. Yet then there's that sixth sense that starts popping up, and we call it intuition. When you look into somebody's eyes and all of a sudden you know what they're thinking, and they know you know what they're thinking, and the right thing happens. That too is a sense of reality. So way back 4,000 years ago, they knew that. They also knew we were part of nature, and this is where the shamanistic idea comes in, that it is all this one thing and that we are representative of nature, yet we act as if we are not. Anybody here ever drink bottled water? Untold tons of plastic floating around to drink tap water that somebody decided to put in an individual unit. We act as if we are not part of this. We act as if the individual choices that we make in life, the idea that we are whole and complete and we live within an ecosystem that has to support all of us, is not the reality, allows us to be selfish, allows us to limit ourselves from the pain that's out there by satisfying some small desire by drinking bottled water, or whatever the case may be. That you feel, I have some lack that I need to separate myself and grab something to fulfill. So we need to act as if we are truly one with this planet that we're on, with the people we are on it with all of the animals that we are on it with all of it as an ecosystem. Now, I'm not a strict vegan or anything like that. I'll eat a Big Mac on occasion. Believe it or not, I fess up to having eaten McDonald's French fries and enjoying them, as long as they're hot. But when we get beyond the little stuff, we have so much here in this country. Even our poor people have so much, but it doesn't seem like it to them, you know. But there's a disparity going on that is about lack and limitation. Hinduism, about 1,500 years BC-ish, we don't really know when that one started, says, men gifted with intelligence should always treat others as they themselves wish to be treated. Again, 3,500 years ago, they recognized that if we wish to live in peace and love and harmony and prosperity, we have to integrate with everybody else and recognize that we need to act as if this was peace now. Not some far off idea of peace is going to happen, war ain't going to happen no more. The only way war doesn't happen anymore is that we are peace. And when enough of us give up on the idea that it's okay to bomb people because they have what we want, or we don't want them to have what we have, we're not going to be at peace. Because enough people think it's okay to separate ourselves from those people who are having flame dropped on them from above. So, if we're part of nature, we need to act it. And that requires an individual conscious choice to bring about a change within your own habits that you can then extend outward and stand in your truth and say, you know, that might not be a good idea. You might want to consider an alternative to that. Because what it comes down to is we can sit on a purple pillow and get our intentions straight and get clear with our presence of God. But if we are not emanating that outward into the rest of the world, we have failed to live the life of peace, to live the life of joy that we stay, to live the life of prosperity that we teach, because we are hoarding it to ourselves, and we are not treating our fellow man as we would wish to be treated. See, in this new thought idea that if you change your thinking, you will change your experience of life, is the core of this. And the first things we have to let go of is this idea of lack and limitation and separation. And we are also terrified to let go of that idea, because then I won't have my nice frickin' car. And I won't live in my nice house. And I won't eat my nice steak. Right? But that's because we're not thinking about the people who have nothing to eat today. That they are us, and we don't really have the right to eat this great stuff. Well, they are starving. I know this is like anti-New Thought, abundance everywhere thing, but there's some realities that we have to change in the race consciousness, the consciousness of the entire species, for this stuff to work on a global level. And it does start within, because each one of us has the ability to rise above the conditions that we see right now and move into a greater expression of life and love and peace and joy and prosperity by sharing the gifts of ourselves. As the people who have joined New Thought Philadelphia today have brought forth the gifts that they want to share with the world and the community to express a greater vision of life, to hold up a vision in which we do live in peace and love, in which we do experience prosperity across the globe, in which war is no more. And we can do those things. Because when we can get a larger idea, have a new thought, then the picture changes. You ever have one of those thoughts that you say, wow, maybe this is possible? You know? And it seemed like really out there because what you're looking at in front of you wasn't possible right then. But then all of a sudden, this idea comes in and it's got that weight of your entire soul behind it that says, I think I need to try this. I don't know if it's going to work, but I need to try this. And it emerges as an expression, and all of a sudden you have a new idea of life. And then that seems normal. And then we can move into an even greater experience of life. Which is where it comes into individual action. Buddhism, founded about 560 BC by Siddhartha, then the Buddha, after sitting 5 years under a tree. Wish I could try that, but I don't really have the discipline and the patience. Says, in 5 ways should a clansman minister to his friends and familiars: by generosity, by courtesy, and benevolence, by treating them as he treats himself, and by being as good as his word. Remember at the beginning of this, I said what we need to change in our lives is our thought, our words, and our actions. So they are all in alignment so that when we speak of peace, we are the peace that we speak of. You cannot sit there yelling at ISIS for the bad behavior that they have and be peace. You can't. You cannot be angry and peaceful at the same time. It's a direct contradiction in the experience of life. So we need to be the peace. We need to be the prosperity. So the next time you're walking down there, I invite you, when you're walking downtown and you see the guy who's sitting there without the thought of prosperity in his life because he's sitting on a grate, then maybe you share a little bit of what's in your pocket and remember how good you got it. So that you can be the prosperity and the generosity to our fellow man when you see them. And then you get closer to not being me and thee, but we in this life. And that's how a new world begins. That's how we come into a new thing. So with everybody, we must begin where we are. You can't start anywhere else. That's the scientific truth of the world. You are where you are. Your life is an expression of all of the thoughts that you've had up until date. It can change beginning in this moment if you choose to change it by being what we talk about being what we want to experience in life. And the last one, Christianity, founded about 30 CE, as they say nowadays, as opposed to AD, right? All things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do you even so to them. That's all twisted around. It sounded like Yoda said that. But in fact, that's just the King James version, you know, so it's Old English translated a couple of different times. Jesus probably said it in Aramaic, which didn't sound at all like that. I can guarantee it. And what Jesus' entire message was the guiding principle to these actions, these activities, to being peace and being prosperous and being of a new idea and a greater humanity and a greater community, was the guiding principle is love. And I'll use what I've said before many times. The expression of love is not the warm, fuzzy feeling. What love is the willingness to extend oneself for the nurturing of one's own or another's spiritual growth. So be the love that you wish to see in the world. Take the time to consider what we need to consider when we're thinking about how to be love in somebody else's life. Right? And we will be that new world, and that vision will unfold. So let it be so.
Amen.
Amen.